All right. So, hey everybody, Ryan here from Ryan O. I apologize that this video is coming out late. I am having some technical issues with a lot of things, but we're gonna try this out and see how it works. Okay. So, two, this is not the first time you see me. You've seen my first video in person, a little skit for Valentine's Day. So a little short, so please check that out. But we are now going to go over episode 5, and I have some notes, so if I keep looking down, you know why. Okay, so we start off the episode with Bucky back in a B-17 cockpit, and he is drunk. Just drinking back his liquor, preparing for the morning for the next mission, which he is the only one that's made aware of. So, since probably because of his rank. A little bit later, we see 3 familiar faces. We see Crosby, Douglas, and Binkley show up. They return, and basically Crosby is narrating what happened to them, and basically he mentions how a flak shell hit right in the nose area and almost decapitated him and Douglas. So, and basically they lost the 7 other guys of theirs, which we presume that they're dead, but we kind of find that out in a little, like in a few minutes or halfway through the episode, where they are basically all in the hospital. They only lost one guy who technically died, who was Saunders. So, but before we get too carried away, we see Crosby, Douglas, and Binkley show up to their racks. They see a bunch of new rookies, and they kind of hate that, and they already are worried about all their stuff, which was not sent away. They basically all need a drink. They need to relax, kind of ease off things, and that's when everyone's all happy to see them. They're excited. That's kind of when we hear more about what happened to their ship. Literally, they kind of came back to England, somewhere in northern England, and they crashed. And basically, according to Crosby's navigations, like, he made them crash into the only tree on the RAF base. So it was like a funny moment, but we already start noticing that basically these men use comedy to fight through their pain. And basically you see, though, too, how they change the subject often. And it just is, they rather joke about death than actually kind of talk about it. So they quickly change the tune. And that's when Bucky shows up asking for a refill, and the men see that he's back. He's back from leave. Why is he here? But then they see he's drunk. And already they kind of have a feeling, because he starts mentioning the numbers and the game of all of this. And they kind of know, there's a new mission coming up tomorrow, probably. And someone, I don't know who, but someone in the background mentioned that they've been flying almost every day nonstop. So it's been really intense for the men. We kind of come now into a comedy film being shown to the men, but they keep looking at this little red light in like the top hand corner, and they laugh at the film, but then they look at the light and they get all stern faced. Then they glance back at the film, and then they start laughing again. Like, it's almost like the Joker, in a weird way, that they fight through it and they try to show the comedy of everything. Like, oh, well, we're watching a film, so we got to laugh. We'll worry about the mission later, or we have to worry about when that light goes green. Because it was like a go, no-go light, green, red. Eventually, we don't see the light change, but we do see them now in the war room for a debrief. And they find out their target is in the smack dab center of a city. And it's a Sunday. So now many of the men notice that there is a giant cathedral next to this railway depot or railway station they have to like blow up. And kind of some of the men are now questioning the issues with it because it's a Sunday, people are going to be in church or in their homes, and this is in a city, not kind of like a remote base or barracks or like a building that has only military applications, only military uses. Now all of a sudden it's a city center. Some of the men are mentioning this, and Bucky kind of snaps back at them saying, like, Jesus Christ, this is war. This is what war is all about, I'm surprised they didn't mention that, like, the British are getting bombed every night and every day, too. Like, so civilians are dying, which we kind of saw in the previous episode. Some of the buildings crumbled and some kids were being carried out, which was kind of like only a quick scene that they don't really show as much. But we now find out, though, too, this mission has only 17 forts for the 100th. There's more, but they're in other groups and divisions. But some of these forts aren't even theirs. They have to borrow them. So basically they get them, and many of the men are unhappy that they can't fly in their own forts. They have to use these borrowed forts with really kind of like depressing or like weird names. And many of them are kind of, it's like an issue with the name, that the Royal Flush or There She Goes, and almost like names about death and like joking about it, mocking it. We see one of the pilots checking the forts, making sure everything is ready to go for the mission. And he sees a bomb with the words, "Hey Adolf, fuck you, your friend Buck Cleveland." So many of them think he's dead. I don't think he's dead. He's a main character. They would have shown it. So he's probably was shot down and bailed out and is probably like a POW. But it also shows that these men are kind of building rapport with one another, and they do care for one another. And they show it in different ways, like writing the name of a fallen comrade on a bomb to give back to Hitler. So we take off now, and we are in the skies, and one of the engines blows up basically and starts emitting black smoke, and Bucky is angry, and he kind of mentions and that how many was that now. So they started off with 17 and they already lost 4. So now they're at 13 forts and they're not even halfway across the channel. So already this episode's kind of getting interesting, but also stressful. And I was even like, oh my God, like, imagine, like, I mean, in real life, this mission happened, but to already lose some forts where they have to bail out in the water in the channel. So they'll be safe and probably get sent back to England. But still, like, you're losing guys and you can't even get to the target. So they now start getting to France and they start seeing flak. And we start to notice that with the smaller groups, and they keep getting less and less and less, Bucky even mentions that, hey, there's like the division in front of us all the way up in the sky, so they're not being affected by the flak. But then there's another group behind us. All of a sudden, they now realize they're in like a small group, a hole. There's like a hole literally in their group, and that's like a prime target for the German Luftwaffe. They quickly show like one of the gunners, like the side gunners, talking about how much he hates flak, and his buddy there mentioned something like, "Oh, I had no idea," or he said something about it. It's kind of hard to hear. But literally then he kind of turns and looks, and you see a flak go off, and the guy falls back. He stumbles back. So I was just like, oh, he's fine. He got scared. All of a sudden you see half of his face gone. Like literally the whole left side of his face was gone. And you see how much his buddy cared. He was like giving him his own oxygen, telling him to breathe. Even though it's like full of blood and everything, he like is shaking him to wake up. And it just really is sad. It really does make you feel sad that these guys do care for one another, but they're not able to kind of focus on that or comprehend some things. So, and it's too, they can't really do much. That's all they can do is just shake them, try to help them, cry their name out or scream their name out. But literally, there's often nothing much they can do because they are needed too. So, and this is the moment too, just like a second layer. We see that one of the moments from the trailer where the bombardier is looking down at the bomb thing, kind of looks up. And I mean, I've always waited for that scene. That scene always got me interested in the show. And literally, they see over like 100 or 200 Luftwaffe jets and planes, fighters coming right smack dab at them. Some of them might have gone for the group higher up in the sky. Well, we don't really see that, but almost a majority of them all come right at them. And even Bucky says, "Yeah, here they come." You know, like let's even the odds. Like they got more. We're less. They got more. So the battle erupts. The ball turret gunner immediately takes a rocket. Gets peppered with glass and bits of metal fragments. Does survive. But he's screaming, and you could see blood just coming out everywhere. So he's screaming in pain. Another B-17 engulfs in flames, starts to go down, and the guys have to bail out. Bucky's bombardier gets a rocket, which appeared to almost like rip off his arm or something with his arm because the guy can't even use it anymore. But you see a bunch of blood pouring out, so it's either something happened. Eventually, Bucky's plane keeps getting hit, and he has to do the all call to bail out. So he's all pissed, he's cursing, he's screaming. Literally, they start going down. The bombardier opens one of the side hatches and kind of almost like jumps out or gets sucked out. But then he gets his collar caught on the door handle or something. And one of his buddies, luckily, is able to help him, but he's like telling him to hit the door release, like do the door release. So he's able to do that, and he gets like flumped out like a bullet or shot out like a bullet. So then we now see Bucky lands in Westphalia, Germany, and now he must survive. So now either he gets caught and becomes a POW or he has to hide. But there's no way for him to say, come back, like the other guys we saw that I'm already spacing their name on. Now we just see more of the battle. We see more men being hit with shrapnel or bullets or screaming in pain. Now we kind of follow the rookie pilots, and eventually it gets all quiet. And the rookie pilot starts like humming, like like a little tune, and almost like easing himself, but also easing his men. So they're all happy, kind of like he's humming this tune, like, hey, great. Then all of a sudden, now here comes more. Like more fighters are coming, German reinforcements. And then we see She's Gonna, which was Bubbles' plane that he got put back. So Bubbles got redeployed on a mission. This is like his first mission since being taken out, I guess, since Crosby took over for him. But now he's in She's Gonna, and you see the whole one side of the wing get like blown off, and then the rest of the wing catches on fire. So I was thinking, I'm like, oh my, I was like screaming, oh my God, oh my God. Oh, they're fine, they're going to bail out. Then you see one of the rookie co-pilots kind of turn, and you see the camera pan that way out the side window, and you see She's Gonna crash right into another B-17, and both of them start emitting fire and like smoke, and they just start exploding. And literally both of them just do boom, like huge explosion. So basically, like, Bubbles is now probably dead. I bet you like 98% he's dead, which is sad though. So it is sad. We see another slow-mo of like many of the gunners like shooting, like doing the recoil and everything. We see parts of bombers falling down around them like snow, like rain. We see one aviator falling to the ground with his parachute, but his parachute is all like wiggly like a snake and doesn't deploy. So he's just probably going to die, fall to his death, which is even terrible. I don't want that. But But now, again, we are in the rookies plane, and after some of the pieces are stop moving, you see sometimes like some of the pieces are like just standing still, like almost like in place. Like, and I don't know if that was an editing mistake or not, but I kind of like that though, because it almost reminded me of Kurt saying like in episode like 1 or 2 where he was like, and even before his death, and I think episode 3, like fly like an angel. Like many of these guys were flying and in the clouds and it felt like angels. So it was almost like a like an angelic experience or a religious type of experience. Sad, but also a beautiful scene, in my opinion. So now we see no pieces. And the rookie pilot starts calling out to people, telling the gunners and the spotters and the radio man to look out everywhere to see where everyone else is. Out of 17 forts, they are the only ones. And I was like, oh my God. You know, like I just was like, Jesus, that's terrible. Because in real life, this happened to them. So now the rookie pilot notices more planes coming. So he starts pulling these like maneuvers to get his guys lined up with the guns on the German pilots. So that was like really intense moment. You could see some CGI. You could tell it was CGI. It wasn't as good, but I did like the scenes where they showed him and the pilot looking at one another through their cockpits. And because even stories I read, real life stories where you see like in a split moment, like these guys are moving so fast, but yet it's like time stood still for them, and they literally saw and made eye contact with the German pilot, and they made contact with the B-17 pilots. It was like incredible. So we now then just skip to near the end of the episode. Like the battle stops. We don't know what happened to the rookies, but we see a B-17 like kind of wobbling its wings and land. Well, Colonel Harding calls the bomber and asks them where his men are. Like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. Where is my guys? And it's not until we find out from him that they said that basically no one made it. Like everyone's dead. So we don't even hear this. We just see his reaction, and it doesn't even seem like he cares. Like, but I guess that's why like he was a hard ass. Like a warrior man, so it doesn't like to show emotion. Until then, you see the rookies land. They have guys bleeding. I think almost a few were almost dead. They get everyone out, and they kind of show how now these rookies are only some of the most experienced guys in the whole 100th now, because everyone else is gone. They're dead or POWs. So literally, they have to go to interrogation. And you see Colonel Harding and the Major, you see Crosby, and you see Binkley, kind of just like watching these guys talk about what happened and just hearing all the chaos of the moment. And like you could see some of these guys are so tired. They're like done. Even one of the guys was saying, I'm not fucking going up there anymore. Like they can't fucking make me. I'll do whatever. But and it was the same guy that when they found out, like the Major asked about, well, what happened to She's Gonna? And no one said anything. Like they said, oh, we don't know. But that one gunner, whoever he was, either a tail gunner or top turret gunner or side gunner, he said he was the only one that saw that basically they blew up. And the Major asked if there were shoots, and he says, didn't you hear me? I told you they fucking blew up. Like you could see how annoyed and tired these guys are. But also, like you see when he's addressing the officer, and he's like, "Oh, you know, like they blew up. You know, I did not see shoots." So it's like they still hold a higher sense of authority and rank to kind of keep everything in line, even though things are chaotic in the moment. It's like they try to hold on to certain little things to help the rest of the crew survive. We now basically end off with Crosby going through all of Bubbles' things, his belongings, and finds a letter which Bubbles mentioned earlier that he was writing his wife but never sent it luckily to Crosby. But he starts reading the letter and he can't even get through it because he starts crying. And it was a really touching moment. I really love that scene because it is sad. It does really affect you. I did really feel for Crosby and Bubbles. And just how these men had to go through life during the war and after, like losing all their buddies and their friends. Like it just really shows you how mentally affected they were. Literally, we just again see Bubbles can't finish, or not Bubbles, Crosby can't finish reading Bubbles' writings. So he just gets up and walks away. And that's literally the end of the episode. We then see, though, too, for next week's episode, it looks like it's focusing on a lot more POWs, which I'm really excited on, actually. So, thank you for watching. That's going to be it for today. I hope this works. I am trying to figure all these weird technical issues and glitches and things I'm going through right now. So hopefully this was working. If you can please subscribe, I would really appreciate it. Hit that bell so you're notified every time I make a future video, gaming video, movie review, TV show. So many videos are coming out. I have so many plans. So please hit that bell as well. Thumbs up, please. Also, leave a comment. I would really appreciate reading what your honest thoughts are. If you have any opinions or questions, comments, concerns, I would love to hear it. So thank you. Thank you for tuning into Ryan O, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.